Spoiler warnings.
It's time for horror on the small screen. Now this is not, whatever happens here is not reflected on the Horror Around the World tournament. This is just for fun. This was actually a Made in America. This is Tales from the Crypt. Comes the Dawn. Dwayne, you picked this one out. What made you want to pick this one?
Well, we kind of talked about doing the German and we talked about Nosferatu. So I thought we'd do one that has to do with vampires, and there's some other ones on Tales from the Crypt with vampires. But this is the one that stuck in my mind because when you watch this one, this was made like in the early
1995.
95. And when I saw it originally, I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool concept of the vampires. And then I'm not going to say somebody else kind of got the same concept later on and made comic books and movies of this concept, but it kind of shows it.
Yeah, and when we get to the end, you're like, oh, okay, that's who they're talking about.
Yeah.
Man, so this is actually my first time ever watching Tales from the Crypt. You know, I guess you were Tales from the Crypt, I was Goosebumps.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of like when worlds combine here. So I was really excited to jump into Tales from the Crypt. I love the intro. I love the Crypt Keeper. The episode itself was just okay.
Yeah, it's an okay episode, but like I said, the little at the ending, the climax of the show is what I wanted you to see.
Yeah. So this one, it took place in Alaska, and we're at a little shitty biker bar in Alaska, middle of a snowstorm. It's run by a snaggletooth barkeep woman. She's played by Susan Tyrrell. She's been in stuff like Crybaby, Big Top Pee-wee, From a Whisper to a Scream. She's been in episodes of Bonanza, Kojak, Wings, and I Am Weasel. Yay! And a main villain in a movie I loved so much as a kid, The Chipmunk Adventure, a Alvin and Chipmunks movie. Okay, I'm sure you're not as big of a fan, but I loved that movie as a kid. It came out in the 80s. She was like the main villain of the movie. Really cool. So I was like, damn, this woman's been in a lot of stuff. Kind of cool seeing her here. And then, she's the owner of the bar. She's the only one in there. And then two men walk in the middle of a snowstorm. One of the men is Parker. He's played by Bruce Payne. He was an Oxford Blues, Passenger 57, Highlander Endgame. And Burroughs, who's played by Michael Ironside. I know his name. I didn't really recognize him. I know my dad's probably said his name 1,000 times.
Yeah.
He's been in Minefield, Total Recall, Highlander 2, Starship Troopers, Dark Side in DC Comics shows, and recently he was in the film Nobody. So the two men come up there, they're looking to hunt some rare game. And they're asking around, and she says, my ex used to do that, but then I turned her into the cops. And like I'm about to do to you, and like an idiot. And then she calls 911, and they obviously shoot her in the fucking head. It's like, what the fuck would you write? Why would you tell on yourself if you're calling the cops? It didn't make any sense. So what do you think of these guys? You know Michael Ironside, don't you?
Yeah, I've seen him in a bunch of movies, and like I said, Starship Troopers is one of my favorites.
I seen it when I was real little.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, and I see it. I watch it every now and then because I just love it's like based off of the Heinlein book, Starship Troopers, which is not really a whole lot like the book. The book's a lot different, but the concept of like it's 1950s Koreans versus Americans and stuff, and there's so many more Koreans attacking and stuff. It just that's something I enjoyed was being in the military was the war concept of that.
Yeah, except they just replaced Koreans with bugs.
With aliens, yeah.
Yeah. So after they shoot that girl in the head, next thing you know, they're already at her ex's house. Not a whole lot of in between there. That's one thing, one of my biggest complaints is they just kind of, the pacing was not great. Now I understand this is 20 minutes, and but if you can't do it in 20 minutes, maybe make the story smaller, because it came out really messy. There's just too much going on. turns out that the girl that they're at, and she's in her underwear, by the way, just laying in bed. I was like, what the hell? Anyway, so it turns out she was in the army with one of the guys,
the colonel.
The colonel, and one of his orders got her really injured and got a lot of people killed. We didn't see that. That would have been really cool to see that in a flashback. That's how I would have started it. But then again, I'm sure they only had a certain amount of budget and they only had 20 minutes to film this. I would have tried to make something a lot smarter, because I've seen really good 20-minute short stories of horror stuff. This one was just they got a little too big for their britches, I thought. So this girl is played by Vivian Wu. She's been in episodes of Highlander, the TV series. This goddamn Highlander reunion episode. She was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and that's about it. So this guy commands her to show her where rare game is. Dwayne, why did they kill a barkeep over like hunting rare animals?
They talked about it is, you're not allowed to hunt endangered species and stuff like that. And they're talking about giving her like $100 to be a guide. But then they talked about one of the parts of the animal they were going to sell on the black market was like for $64,000.
Jesus.
So give away $100 for $64,000.
Yeah. But I was like, damn, killing someone over that didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. But anyway, so she's like, I command you, soldier, to show me where this rare game is. She goes, okay. And so she takes him down to this place, an abandoned building, right? Or abandoned mine shaft.
Abandoned building or something.
Yeah. And they set up traps, and you could kind of clearly tell she's trying to play the two men against each other.
Yeah.
Putting her little, her sexual woes on them. And at one point, she's about to get some dude head. And I feel like he would have turned on her side if dude wasn't standing right across the room. Because, I was like, damn, she already got the thing zipped out. You might as well join her side. But the colonel walked in and like, we're against you. I don't know. It's very, like, this really needed more time to cook. And before you know it, he also had a bear head or something. What was it, a bear?
It looked like a bear head.
He somehow cut a bear's head off. It didn't show any of that. That would have been cool. And he goes, all right, we're on to you. So she leads them somewhere, and when they get there, there's cocoons everywhere. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then vampire children come out, and she says, I want to be one, but because of that, my injury at the Gulf War, because of the colonel, I can't become one. Why would they care? She said, what's the word? I'm tainted. Yeah. She said, I'm tainted.
It's like I can't become undead or something like that.
Why? Because she has a scar?
I don't know.
Didn't make any fucking sense. And so the other guy sacrifices the colonel to the kids, and he makes his getaway. And dumbass fell in his own trap, his own bear trap, and he runs to the car and drives all the way back to her place. Why did he go to her place?
One place he knew.
Okay. And then when he gets there, he still has the bear trap on. I was like, why didn't he take the bear trap off at the car? Anyway, he gets there, he's bleeding out, and then the Snaggletooth bar owner comes out. She's a vampire. He manages to kill her, actually. And you're like, oh, thank God. But then the Native American lady, Asian lady, that's racist. Anyway, the guy comes back, and she brings the vampire kids with him. And he goes, where's the daylight? Where's the daylight? And she goes, in Alaska, we have like, was it
2 months?
2 months without the sun. And I was like, oh, that's 30 days a night. And and the kids eat them, and that's the end of the episode. Like I said, the pacing was the worst part for me. It was just too much for such a little time. And boy, you could smell the fucking 90s in this one. 90s music, 90s feel. It felt like the X-Files a little bit. Like you could just such 90s. Alright, Dwayne, what's your thoughts on the episode?
So like I said, I saw it originally when it came out on the Tales from the Crypt TV show on HBO. I liked it, and I loved the concept at the end when she talks about he's like, it says it's 10 a.m., where's the sun? And she's like, well, in Alaska, the sun doesn't come out for 2 months sometimes. And I thought that was a great concept with vampires hiding out in Alaska. And lo and behold, a few years later, we get 30 Days a Night comic book and TV show, which pretty much is the same concept. So, not saying, or maybe the guy saw that episode of Tales from the Crypt.
I mean, it could happen.
It could happen, or he could have done it himself.
I know at one point they had 2 like mall security guard movies in the same year.
Yeah.
So every shit happens.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was like, oh, okay, it's just, you know. I was the opposite. I saw 30 Days a Night way before this. So what do you say? I was like, obviously, I know, you know, about that, but and you picked this one out first. Is this one of your favorites, or?
No, I just wanted, because we talked about Nosferatu and how Nosferatu and Dracula are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I thought that this, and we could talk about vampires a little bit. We talked about the vampires before, that this would show, I think, where the guy got the idea for 30 Days a Night.
Okay.
It's not one of the best episodes, but it is one that stuck in my mind because of that climax there. So I always thought it was a good one. Not the best, but it was a good one.
What's your score?
I give it at least a 6.5, because like I said, it's got Mike Ironside. It's got a great concept to it, but like you said, it's real choppy. They go from one shot, oh hey, we're here at the club, bar, whatever. And the next shot, we're at the lady's house. Next shot, hey, we're walking into a abandoned warehouse. Next shot, we're going back to the lady's house. It's like, it's in Alaska. They don't show any kind of Alaska outdoors. It's all inside shots. So it's pretty much like just on a screen. I mean, like in a little warehouse probably being made for that. But they did no stock footage of Alaska or outside in the cold or winter. Could have given you a little more concept and a little more feel about it. Like, hey, you know, it's a blizzard outside. They just say, hey, there's a blizzard outside. You don't see any kind of snow.
They may have been out there a little bit when I was going in the building.
Maybe.
But it wasn't a lot. Alright, here are my pros and cons for Tales from the Crypt Comes the Dawn. I love the Crypt Keeper segments. The acting was fairly good. Nice 90s charm. My cons? A bit too much going on for 20 minutes with jump cuts. Didn't have time for any character development. I'm giving Tales from the Crypt Comes the Dawn 6 out of 10.
Tales from the Crypt.